Okay, Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing, everybody? This is Muhammad Saaduni. So, for some of you who might have met with me before, um, I'm an English language teacher. I'm currently lecturing at the University of Manitoba here in Canada. I'm also doing educational consultant job with one of the companies that provide services to the government, the federal government. So we teach English to Francophone Canadians. So they are Canadians who speak French as a second language. Today we're starting the teacher training series with the first course of teaching. Right, I'll allow this person in here. So we are starting our first series of teaching trainer or teacher trainer. Can you hear me? Okay. So I have to stop because some people are still coming. Let me allow them.
Okay.
Okay. Asma, could you take over? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Great.
Go ahead. Yes.
Take
go
over.
ahead.
So again, I'm doing two jobs. I'm lecturing at the university, and the second job I'm doing, I am a consultant with one of the companies that provide learning or provide education to the federal government employees. So we teach English to Francophone Canadians, and they are French Canadians who are willing to be bilingual. Today, I'm working with Winnipeg Language Academy, and we are offering the first course of teacher training, and it is teaching literature in international schools. Winnipeg Language Academy is a company that provides educational services here in Canada. It's accredited and registered by the government of Manitoba in Winnipeg. And we are also working on getting connection with other places like Paragon that provide services like self-test, if you've ever heard about it, and CAN test that is offered by the University of Ottawa. Let's talk today about our course. And could you please move to the second slide, Asma, please? Yeah, so our course today is teaching literature in international schools, and we have a quick agenda, and Mrs. Asma El-Gindi is our trainer today, and we have the agenda of today as follows. I speak for a bit, and then I'll pass it over to Ms. Asma so she can take over. I know sometimes it's some Arabic would be helpful, right? So today, inshallah, we'll be looking at the course trainer. Who is the course trainer? The course objective, the prerequisites, and we also will look at the course format, and there are the course details, the fees and timing, the duration. And if you have any questions, you can ask these questions at the end. Okay? Without further ado, our teacher trainer today is Mrs. Asma El-Gindi. Mrs. Asma El-Gindi is a teacher trainer, and she is certified by Nile Institute in the UK. She's also a CELTA certified teacher. You could see my picture over there with her in British Council, Egypt, when we're doing the CELTA. Also, she is a certified AP English Literature and Composition teacher. And this was accredited or given to her by College Board in the United States. 12 years of experience. She taught in universities and she taught in international schools as an AP literature teacher. As a plus, she has a bachelor's degree in English literature. All right, so I'll pass it over to Ms. Asma to talk to us about the course now. And here you go, Ms. Asma. You got the floor.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Saaduni. That was a very nice introduction. As you can see from the pictures, very nice pictures, huh? Very lively. We were still young and full of life.
Yeah.
Or still are. Okay. So regarding the course objectives, why should you take the course? What are you going to benefit from the course? Basically, this course is aimed to provide novice or inexperienced teachers with in-depth training in literature teaching strategies. Okay, I think you need to admit somebody before we
I'll take over. Yeah, you can just do the presentation.
Okay, and you will engage in 32 hours of pedagogical and content-rich training. You will receive materials, including, of course outlines and content-related worksheets. What does that mean? لو أنت عندك خبرة محدودة في تدريس الأدب الإنجليزي وعندك الطموح إن أنت تكمل في مدرسة انترناشونال مرموقة، أو لو أنت تيتشر جديد في المجال وحابب to take on this career path, then this is the best course for you, because it's going to provide you with the literature teaching strategies, how to transform your classroom from a simple lecture where you just lecture students and deliver information into a lively workshop. So if you want, you move from that teacher-centered classroom where the focus is on the teacher to a student-centered classroom where the focus is on the students. It's more about the reflections, it's more about their responses, their observations of the course, the characters, the theme, the setting, the story as a whole. في 32 ساعة كاملين من التريننج. جزء كبير منهم هيبقى معتمد على الانبوت بتاع الترينر. So what I give you in terms of modeling classes, I'll be modeling some classes, teaching different genres, teaching poetry, teaching drama, teaching short stories, novels, etc. And part of it is going to be scaffolding. Scaffolding techniques in the sense that I'm going to give you tips or tools or hacks in order to help you get better and better by time.
Mrs. أسماء، أنا عندي سؤال سريع بعد إذنك.
Sure.
ال 32 ساعة دول كفاية إن أنا أبقى perfect or ready to work، ولا في حاجة تانية لازم أعملها؟
You definitely have to know that you need to work on your own as well. There is a great deal of time that you need to provide for reading. You will be assigned some reading that you have to do, on your own. It's basically self-study. So what we do in class is basically providing you with the tools, with the skills, with the techniques, with the tips, with the hacks. But a great part of it depends on your work at home as well. I can't read for you. I can't help you if you haven't read the work before we start discussing it or before we start exploring the different ways by which we can teach it. You get me?
يعني كده في جزء جوه الكلاس اللي هو 32 hours وفي جزء بره اللي هو المفروض انا اعمله كريدنج. صح
Definitely. كده؟ Definitely yes. Definitely yes. الجزء الريدنج جزء منه بيبقى ال participants they are responsible for reading some articles or reading some parts of a novel or a play, etc. So that we can explore together when we come to class the ways by which we can tackle that literary work. And part of it will be reading for their presentations, for their assessments later on. So sometimes I'll be assigning some pieces of work for them to work on so that when they come to class, they start presenting that and of course practicing what we have talked about in class to the rest of the class, which will act like students basically. Okay. During the course, you will also explore different resources that will help you plan a literature lesson. And that's going to be part of my input as a trainer. So I'll provide you with as many handouts, not handouts, we go online, worksheets, references, articles, sometimes books as well, PDFs, if you need them. You will be given feedback throughout the course on the areas where individual students need additional focus. So based on my experience, I know very well the areas where students struggle the most when they study literature. Most of the time it's their, apathy or lack of interest when it comes to reading. Our generation nowadays, it got even worse with the corona, with the COVID-19. They're not really interested in reading anymore. They don't like the hold of the book. They want to go online, chat, Snapchat, use social media apps. The idea of reading or the concept of reading is a little bit outdated for them. So we need to encourage them in a way. We need to explain to them the importance of reading and how they can read, not just for getting the information, but also for relating to real life. If you read a book about what happened, I don't know, in history like 100 years ago, or if you read a book about, let's say, 1984 by George Orwell, that's a very famous novel. If you read between the lines, you will know that history, in a way, is repeating itself. you see that George Orwell was genius enough to expect what's going to happen later in the future. So that's what we need to focus on, or that's what we need to highlight when it comes to teaching literature. Make it more interesting, more engaging as much as possible. And that's going to be through relating to real life. We need them to identify with the characters. We need them to relate to the characters, right? So I'm gonna, of course, highlight these, how you can create reading logs, for example, so students can follow them and, you know, can get more engaged in reading and participation. How can you create assignments? How can you create projects that can involve them and that can encourage them to relate to their real life, or to relate to what's happening around them? Also, by attending the course, you will gain a deeper understanding of literature curricula. So part of the course also will be teaching literature, or reminding ourselves of the most, common stylistic techniques, or the literary terms that we often tend to forget. Also, we will have to know how to plan our lessons, how to follow the Common Core standards, for example, how to follow the Aero standards, and how to make sure that whatever texts we are teaching are really, meeting those standards in a way or another. And then, of course, I'll also be talking about how you can assess your students and how you can evaluate their progress over the course. ففي عجالة الريسورسز عندنا جزء مهم جدا، وده هيبقى جزء من الانبوت اللي انا يعني هديه للمشاركين في الكورس. الفهم لمصطلحات ممكن نكون سهوا بننساها في الليترشر، ده طبعا جزء برضو كبير. التركيز على النقاط اللي ممكن الطلبة يكونوا بيواجهوا فيها مشاكل معينة، وازاي نشجعهم اكتر ان هم يهتموا بالقراية ودراسة الليترشر for the sake of enjoying it، يعني مش مجرد انه for the sake of the exam. وازاي نقدر نعمل lesson plan very professional and very meticulous and مطابقة للستاندردز المعروفة في زي common core مثلا أو زي الأيرو ستاندردز، وإزاي نقدر نقيم الطلبة based على rubrics وعلى معايير معينة ومحددة.
معلش أنا عندي سؤال سريع هنا. حضرتك قلتي حاجة بالنسبة للجيل دلوقتي، وإحنا بقينا جزء من الجيل ده، موضوع الريدنج. هل انا ممكن استفيد كتيتشر من التكنيكس اللي انا هعلمها للستودنتس ان انا اطور عندي موضوع الريدنج شويه؟
Absolutely. If you want to be good at writing, you need to be a good reader. If you want to be good at arguing basically, or argumentative techniques, you need to be good at reading. But we need to look for what we want to read. So, I know most of us, we inherited not very good memories during probably our school years or university years, where we were enforced to read certain books without necessarily knowing the benefit of reading such a book. With us now knowing why we are reading this book, how can we relate this book to what's happening around us in the world? How can we relate this book to ourselves sometimes? يعني مثلا في الديستوبيان ليترشر ده من اكتر الجانرز اللي بستمتع بيها مع الطلبه، لانه dystopia basically is the opposite of utopia. Utopia is the perfect world. Dystopia is it's like a devastated futuristic imagined world where everything basically goes wrong, mass poverty, a complete devastation or annihilation of the society, etc. So students, when they read a book like, for example, the Hunger Games, and it was, I think, made into a movie as well, or Brave New World, or The Giver, they start themselves telling me, Miss, you know what? Those writers are geniuses. I ask them why. They say because they expected things that are already starting to happen nowadays or have already happened nowadays. So that's the point. We were not studying literature for the sake of answering a question on the exam that says, what did the character do at the beginning of the story? How did the story end? We're not studying literature for that purpose. We're studying literature to be able to read beyond the lines or between the lines. And that's very important. We need to like reinforce that in students and basically training ourselves to do it ourselves as well. I'm not teaching it because the admin told me that you have to pick that text. One thing I need to highlight as well, when teaching literature in international schools, that's based on my personal experience. Usually the admin gives you the freedom or the right to pick which text you feel more comfortable teaching. So if we're teaching, for example, a unit about corruption of power, there are 100 books that tackle that theme. Maybe with not very flexible, administration systems, they would impose a certain text on you. This is what you have to teach. But if you try to convince them with the text that you think could be more convenient, or you will enjoy teaching more, or students could relate to more, then that's what we're looking for. So you as a teacher can definitely gain from reading different books, because by the end of it, you will be able to determine which book can be teachable, because not every book can be teachable, by the way. You can read books just for fun sometimes. I read it, it's amazing, I love it, but I can't teach it. And you can read books that could be teachable, that you could get something out of. So yeah, maybe we need to encourage ourselves as well to do that. It took me some time as a teacher to be able to get that skill that, yes, we're teaching that unit, but I'm not really comfortable teaching that text. I read another book that serves that theme, and I think it would be a great idea to do that one for this year, for example. So I think it's a mutual process. The more you read as a teacher, the more you will be able to be flexible, and the more you will be able to deliver different content or teach different texts. And the more, of course, you will be able to help students as well to pick their own book. Sometimes I didn't have to pick the book myself. I reached like a level where, okay, I suggest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books that serve the same theme, and I assign them to students, and they work in groups, literature circle groups. So you are going to work on this book, go read it, come back to explore the themes, make this project or deliver that presentation on that book. Group 2 is going to read a different book that serves the same theme. Group 3 is going to do the same. Group 4 is going to do the same. Group 5 is going to do the same. So by the end of the semester or by the end of the year, instead of just teaching one book, we end teaching 5 books. And I didn't even do anything as a teacher. Well, I did, behind the scenes, I did most of the work as like preparing, dividing the groups, helping them with resources, helping them with techniques, helping them with ways by which they can tackle the book. But imagine if I didn't have the knowledge as a teacher. Imagine if I'm not very comfortable or I'm not very confident with my reading level. I will be hesitant. Let's just stick to what I know. I'm gonna do this book because that's the one I read. But the more you read as a teacher, you see, like, this is the benefit of reading. The more you read as a teacher, the better it will get, both for you as a teacher and for your students as recipients.
تمام. في أي متطلبات ليا عشان أبدأ الكورس ده؟
Okay. Yeah, that will lead us to the course prerequisites. So basically, there are no requirements as such, okay? If we're talking like theoretically, there are no requirements as such, except for that maybe as a participant, you need to score at least like upper intermediate level at an English proficiency test. And you should be able, of course, to read and, you know, understand different literary texts and try to like apply the different conventions of standard written English in your writing. So basically, you need to know how to write a well-structured paragraph. ازاي بتعرف تكتب topic sentence، ازاي عندك flow of ideas، ازاي قادر تعمل connection between those ideas، how you're basically, you know, connecting all the ideas together without feeling odd, or, you know, not serving the meaning, how you're able to conclude your writing. Is there like a certain organization pattern that you are following? يعني البيسكس تقريبا. القدرة بس إن أنت تقدر تميز ده poem فليها مثلا الفيجرز اوف سبيتش بتاعتها أو الميتر بتاعها أو الرايمينج سكيم بتاعها، ليها المصطلحات بتاعتها. دي نوفل فليها الستايلستيك ديفايسز بتاعتها، في setting، في theme، في character type، في direct characterization، في indirect characterization. يعني بس القدرة على التمييز different types of literature، والقدرة على إنه في at least minimum requirements بتاعت إن أقدر أكون بكتب paragraph متكامل مفهوم و well structured يعني. فأنا recommendation بتاعتي أو I mean يعني my advice is إنه to be at least upper intermediate, and in order for you not to face any challenges. لأنه as I said, part of it will be reviving our memories, refreshing our memories. إيه literary terms اللي محتاجين نعرفها، إيه literature content اللي إحنا محتاجين نعرفه كbackground. وجزء تاني ال strategy of teaching literature in international schools.
All right. Just I wanted to say something quick. If you guys have any question, please feel free to type these questions, and I ask a question on your behalf now. If my level is intermediate, is it okay to join you?
If you're able to understand and follow up, it's gonna be okay, but you might face some challenges. I promise to help as much as I can, but maybe part of the challenges you need to work on a little bit more on your own. But it's doable. يعني في مقدرة طبعا، بس هيبقى في شوية صعوبات علشان ممكن مثلا أجزاء تكون يعني مفهومة للليفل الأعلى، ممكن تكون مش مفهومة للانترميديت، فهيحتاج يبذل مجهود أعلى علشان يعني to fill in the gap basically.
هل مسموح لي إن أنا أسأل أسئلة في خلال السيشن أو بعدها لو عندي سؤال؟
absolutely yeah absolutely. أنا بحب الانتراكشن، ده البوليسي بتاعتي. أنا ما بحبش إنه أنا قلت إنه teacher centered class is not really my vision of teaching. I like it to be more like a workshop. الobservations بتاعت الطلبة، الرeflections، الquestions، الدiscussions. أنا حتى بسميها organized spontaneity، يعني اللي هي التلقائية المنظمة. يعني إنه في جزء أكتر السيشن نجاحاً كانت اللي كنت بعملها مع الطلبة كانت بتبقى معتمدة على إن أنا I did my homework as a teacher, I did my lesson plan, I prepared, I did everything, my research، حضرت الكونتنت كويس جداً، عندي كل حاجة منظمة والستيجز بتاعت اللسن منظمة. بس حابة أسمع منهم الobservations بتاعتهم، لأنه ممكن question من طالب يفتح مجالات معينة، يفتح يعني path معين للدiscussion يكون enriching أكتر من حاجة أنا أكون محضراها. فهي الفكرة it's mutual interaction that makes the session beneficial at its best يعني.
But we got a question from Dina here. She just wanted to know how many sessions per week. And I think we will answer this question later, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want, I can answer it now. it's going to be 2 sessions basically, but we're going to talk about that in more depth later on in the slides.
Okay, so Sarah says, how can I determine my level? You mean according to the test you gave us, or test like British Council? The level in language.
I am the test that we have just sent you guys. I think is more than enough for us to determine your level. So I only have 6 students so far who have done it. So we were looking for more because, you know, it's helpful for you. I mean, if I know the level of my students, I can better plan my course. So we're still expecting more people to take the test. And yes, the result of the test is a good indication of your level. It can show us your level.
Perfect. All right. I think we can go to the next slide now. We don't have any questions.
Okay. So regarding the course format, the trainer's input, we said part of it is going to be depending basically on my input, and I have designed my course to go this way. So for the first session, it's mostly my input as a trainer, and of course, like part of the session at the end will be dedicated for students, or I keep saying students, I'm sorry, participants or teachers, questions or reflections. And the following session right away is going to be their practice or their assessment. So say I teach today a certain lesson, for example, we're still teaching some literary terms or some stylistic devices. So I'll be giving a thorough session or presentation on that. And then teachers in the following class will be requested to apply that. It could be in different ways. I could assign to them like a certain passage where they will be requested to identify those techniques or those devices basically. فجزء بيبقى teacher input ده بيبقى الأول. متمثل بقى في كذا حاجة، متمثل في الموديلنج اللي هيحصل، متمثل في السكافولدينج من خلال المساعدة، يعني الدعم المستمر بطرق مختلفة للوصول للنتيجة المطلوبة، أو من خلال ريسورسز معينة. والجزء بتاع الاسسمنت بتاع البارتيسيبانتس بيبقى متمثل بقى في كذا حاجة، يا إما اسسمنت الجينيريك العادي انه احنا درسنا كذا، طب هنعمل عليه assessment ان انت هيبقى عندك مثلا free response question او مثلا passage where you need to identify or respond to certain questions، او presentation، او في طبعا في الاخر بيبقى في final written assignment. It's a big assignment at the end of the course. Will you be requested to reflect on the whole course and recap on what you have learned. ده بيبقى جزء writing في الآخر خالص، هو واحد يعني مش محتاجين نقلق. ده بيبقى reflection لكل الحاجات اللي انت درستها، بحيث ان انا اقدر يعني استشف انه الفلان ده استفاد من الكورس وقدر يعمل تطبيق للحاجات اللي احنا تعلمناها جوه الكورس. Shall I move on to the following slide?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. هنا we're going to talk about the different types of literature and the different literary genres and the different schools of literary theory. Just the topics that we are going to explore more in the course. فإحنا we're just shedding light now on those topics. يعني هنتعلم ال common types of literature. Basically, they are big main big types اللي هي ال fiction and non-fiction. Fiction, under the umbrella of fiction, you have novel, you have novella, you have drama, you have poetry, you have short story. And under non-fiction, of course, you have you can have autobiographies, biographies. You can have speeches like Martin Luther King's famous speech, I have a dream. فإحنا بس يعني عايزة أقول بنلقي الضوء على الموضوعات اللي ممكن تكون موجودة معانا أو اللي إحنا هنعرف عنها أكتر. each type of these we're going to talk a little bit about. So novels مثلا, different types of novels, different genres of novels, different eras في Victorian novel, modern novel, contemporary novel. But we're going to talk about that. Novella is a little bit shorter than the novel, very, very much similar to the novel, but a little bit shorter. So it's a little bit longer than the short story and a little bit shorter than the novel. That's why they call it novella. Drama, plays basically. Well, drama is very wide and broad. يعني في Shakespearean drama, في Greek drama. So we're not going to talk, of course, about all of them, but we're going to shed some light on examples of Shakespearean drama, examples of Greek drama, and example of other kind of drama as well. Poetry, there are so many different types of poems. So we're gonna again introduce you to those types. How can you know a sonnet, for example? What does it mean to study a sonnet or to teach a sonnet? What's the difference between a Shakespearean sonnet and a Petrarchan sonnet? Different types. Poetry, as I said, again, is a little bit broad. So there are so many types that we're going to talk about. And again, I'll be providing many resources, many examples. So for example, teachers, many teachers I know, they prefer to teach short poems. So this would fall under the category of a sonnet. Other teachers would like to go for very long poems, and you would be surprised to know that in English we have very, very long poems, and they're called epic poetry. Like, for example, the Odyssey or the Iliad by Homer. الإلياذة والأوديسا بتوع الكاتب الإغريقي الشهير هوميروس. يعني دي في ناس كتيرة كانت لما كنت بشرح انه في type of poetry is called epic poems كانوا بيستغربوا ايه ده دي كل دي poem دي poem ده type of poetry. فبس محتاجين زي ما قلت نلقي الضوء على الحاجات اللي ممكن تكون مثلا سقطت مننا سهوا او different types of poetry and how you can identify them, how can you teach them وهكذا. الشورت ستوري طبعا اللي هي القصة القصيرة. Mr. Mohammed, sorry, I missed you. You said something. You were breaking up, or I think I just didn't hear you well.
لا أنا كنت بقول بس Paradise Lost كانت حاجة من long poems.
Exactly, yeah. T.S. Eliot, yes, yeah. As far as I remember, yeah. That's right. Okay, shall I move on?
Yeah, go ahead.
And then we have also different literary genres. الجانرز دي اللي هي يعني مش الانواع بتاعت الليترشر، عايزه اقول الكاتيجوري بتاعت كل حاجه بقى ده ايه. يعني هل ده مثلا بروز، ده اللي هو بالعربي يبقى النثر، poetry الشعر. One of the things مثلا that usually surprises my students إنه you can have a poem inside a prose piece, meaning Shakespeare is one of the very famous playwrights of all time. He used to have sonnets inside the play. So I used to get my students, for example, like part of the scene, and for their surprise, they dealt with it as if it's just a piece of prose, but it wasn't. It was a sonnet, so it's poetry. ففي الجزء ده برضو إن إحنا نقدر بقى نصنف لا ده prose pure prose، ده poetry pure poetry، أو ده poetry جوه البروز. Mystery, thriller, horror, dystopian. We already talked about dystopian literature. Gothic. Gothic literature is usually characterized by suspense, mystery, sometimes the use of supernatural elements, like, for example, ghosts, nightmares, stuff like that. A very good example of that would be Wuthering Heights. برضو رواية مشهورة جدا. فدي كان فيها كل العوامل دي، انه هيث كليف البطل كان مغرم بحبيبته كاثي، وبعد ما طبعا يعني I'm not gonna talk about the story now، بس انه كان في he was haunted by her ghost etc. فدي بتعتبر جزء من الجوثيك literature، فده برضو جانرا لوحده. في الهيستوريكال from the title historical, it has to do with history. Romance, just romance. The Fault in Our Stars, for example, it's romance. Science fiction or sci-fi, okay. Fantasy, Harry Potter, I think Lord of the Rings, I suppose. These are fantasy books. مش حاجات ممكن تحصل في الواقع، بس they are very appealing, they are very interesting. Especially كمان عشان أنا متخصصة أكتر في high school students and university students. This is their most favorite، يعني this is the most favorite genre. Fantasy دي بيرسي جاكسون وهاري بوتر والحاجات دي أكتر حاجة بالنسبة لهم بتبقى ممتعة جدا. This is not my most favorite genre, but I started to like it from how they used to tackle them and talk about the fantasy books. يعني في Bildungsroman. This is a type of novel that we call a novel of formation or a coming of age story. Bildungsroman is in itself, the word Bildungsroman, and this is how it's pronounced, by the way, it's a German term, and the translation in English would be a novel of formation, or as I said, a coming of age story. And it's basically, again, characterized by the transformation of the character from childhood, okay, or immaturity towards maturity at the end. فتلاقي مثلا ان الستوري ابتدت بشخصيه ممكن تكون ناقصها كتير من الجروث، من عايزه اقول النضج مثلا. When by the end of the story you can see that there is this great development in the character, that the character now can make decisions, can shape their future, etc. But that type of novels that we call a Bildungsroman or a novel of formation.
Great Expectations is one of the examples.
Very good, yes. Great Expectations is a very good example. That's true. That's absolutely right, yes. I remember there was another book, I can't really recall. Let me check if I have it here in my notes. I think To Kill a Mockingbird is another example, and The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini is a very good example as well of a Bildungsroman. So yeah. Okay. Next major.
أنا عايز أقول حاجة بس هنا، لأن
sure.
أنا أول ما شفت العناوين دي جالي كده صدمة، لأن في الجامعة درسنا الكلام ده، كانت تجربة بالنسبة لي، كانت تجربة مريرة. modernism
literary theory schools.
هناخدهم بنفس الشكل وبنفس الطريقة، ولا موضوع مختلف دلوقتي؟
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think the problem lies in the fact that maybe in some of our universities, the approach that was taken was to do this theoretically instead of practically. So you will be given, for example, this whole chapter about Russian formalism, this whole chapter about Marxism, this whole chapter about postmodernism. You will have to study it. You will have to, understand what it is, and then maybe, try to find a book that has that. What we do is the other way around. It's the flipped kind of approach, if you want. So we study the book, we understand the book, we see like what the themes of the book are, and after that, we try to explore together how you see that book. Which perspective do you have towards the book? في المثال المشهور جدا بتاع number 6. If you are on the side, like if basically there are two sides, you know, if you are on one side, you can see it as a 6, but the person on the other side can see it as a 9. هي دي نفس الفكرة. هو الكتاب واحد وهندرسه وهنتعمق فيه وهنفهم ايه الثيمز بتاعته. بكرر تاني، هنحاول نربطه بحياتنا، بتاريخنا، باللي بيحصل مع شخصيات نعرفها، بpersonal experiences probably. وبعدين هنحاول نتكلم بقى، طب انت شايف ايه اللي بيحصل في الكتاب ده؟ هتقولي والله one of the themes in this book is class distinctions، اللي هي
التفرقة الطبقية.
التفرقة الطبقية. هقول لك فعلا في دي one of the perspectives. انت عارف يعني ايه ان انت شفتها من المنظور ده؟ يعني انت شفتها من Marxist perspective. بس انت خلاص كده فهمت يعني ايه Marxist. او طالب تاني هيشوف نفس البوك هيقول لي miss I saw it in a total different way. I saw it in مثلا the sense that women are very oppressed throughout the book. They don't have a voice of their own. They don't have a say. هقول له تمام، يبقى أنت شفت البوك ده من feminist perspective. وهكذا. قد يكون إن في كتاب ليه أكتر من perspective، إن أنت بتشوفه بكذا perspective وكلهم صح as long as you can support yourself. دي بقى الحاجة الجميلة في literature. We're not studying math. We're not studying science. No, there is no 1 + 1 = 2. We don't have that. You see something, you can support it, you're right. As long as you can support it with evidence, you're right. You're absolutely right. فعشان كده أنا كاتبة هنا حتى إنه the analysis of a literary work, unlike that of a chemical compound or a mathematical equation, often engages the subjective interpretation of the reader. We care about your own point of view. We care about your opinion. How do you see it? From which lens do you see the book? For centuries, scholars or academics or critics or thinkers, they fought over the terms and methods of literary analysis. And these views have resulted in the founding of several schools of literary theory. We're not doing all of them. There are so many, by the way, but we picked the most famous ones, the most common ones. Psychoanalysis. Okay, if for example, the book is more about, this is very common in Bildungsroman novels or literary works, because basically you delve inside the psyche of the character. How did the character change? How did it develop, etc.? So you are trying to see it from a psychoanalytical perspective, the development of the character. From a Marxist perspective, from a postmodernist perspective, post-colonial perspective, or feminist perspective. يحضرني في post-colonial perspective, I taught once The Tempest by William Shakespeare. وكانت البلاي برضو أنا مش هحاول أتكلم عن الستوري as such, بس إن Shakespeare he tried to portray the relationship between the master and the slave in the play itself. وكانت واضحة جدا قد إيه الماستر he was, even though he was portrayed as like, the nice protagonist, and the slave was portrayed as the ugly villain. بس لما حاولنا نقرأ beyond the lines فهمنا إنه ممكن البلاي دي you can tackle it from a post-colonial perspective or a colonial perspective basically, لأنه في الوقت ده البريتش امباير كانت متحكمة في العالم، ورغم تحكمها في العالم يعني سبحان الله يعني هي كانت الكولونياليزيشن او الكولونياليزم ساعتها كانت متعمقه جدا، كانت the most powerful empire during that time. ورغم الاtrocities او يعني النيجاتيف results of colonialism كانت البريتش امباير still seen in very good light، ان هم لا ده هم بيحاولوا ينقلوا المجتمعات المتخلفه دي من الجهل والتخلف للحضاره والرقي حتى في حاجه مشهوره زي I think concept مكتوب اسمه the white man burden، اللي هو يعني كانه الدور بتاع الوايت مان في to civilize the world، وكأنه ديوتي عليه إن هو to civilize the world. فكانت البلاي لما جيت أعمل لها analysis مع الطلبة قالوا لي طب وإحنا مش محتاجين إن إحنا حد يجي يعمل لنا civilization، هم جم استغلوا أراضينا و they plundered our resources، يعني نهبوا ثرواتنا بحجة الحضارة والرقي والمش عارف إيه. فده جزء يعني للوهله الاولى، وده اللي بقوله بقى في جمال الليترشر، ان الوهله الاولى دي ستوري عن علاقه بين الماستر والسليف وهاو ذا سليف از سين وهاو ذا ماستر از تريتنج ذا سليف. لا احنا مش بنشوفها كده، احنا ما نستقطعش العمل لوحده كده ويعني كانه ماث ايكويشن زي ما انا كاتبه، لا احنا بنشوف الكونتكست اللي حصل فيه الكلام ده. شكسبير لما كتب الكلام ده كتبوا اثناء البريتش امباير وازاي كانت متحكمه في العالم فده زي ريفلكشن، لان طبعا زمان يعني you can't really object or criticize the practices of the government as it is nowadays in the West. فكان ده بيحصل من خلال بقى الرايتنج، يعني if you write a book that somehow sheds the light on this and this and that، ده اللي كان بيحصل ساعتها. شكسبير من الناس اللي عملت الكلام ده، جوناثان سويفت برضو من افضل الناس اللي عملت الكلام ده. ليه مقال مشهور جدا ممكن اساي نبقى نتكلم عليه في الكورس لو الوقت بتاعنا اتسع، اسمه A Modest Proposal. Modest Proposal ده كان بيتكلم عن الظلم والقهر اللي كان بيقع على ناس معينه، وكان هو عاملها بطريقه satirical يعني sarcastic كده، انه a modest proposal هو مش modest ولا حاجه. البروبوزل كان بيتكلم عن قتل الاطفال علشان to serve their lords or to serve الماسترز بتوعهم، وده طبعا مش modest at all. It's a brutal proposal we shall say يعني.
This is Asma. I see you're so passionate about literature. Yeah, I just wanted to go into the details of the course because I think they have some questions here. So some of them are asking about the fees, others are asking about the length of the course and why should I study this course. So if you can answer these questions, this would be
sure. You want me to answer them now, or shall
we could go to the next slides because I guess the answers are there. Yeah.
All right. So our one of the last reasons why you should take this course, it's because it can pave the way to be an AP literature teacher. And what's the AP program to start with? AP program is not very common لأنه not many schools can afford offering AP programs. يعني ده بيبقى معتمد على مدارس معينة يعني بتبقى they do invest in offering those programs. فالبروجرام ده المفروض إن هو they offer high school students college level courses, and by taking those courses and passing them, this could save the students later on credit, time, effort, and money when they join whatever universities they are planning to join. So basically, you teach university level courses while you are still a high school student, for example, a high school teacher, I mean. برضو يعني what kind of benefit am I gonna gain as a teacher؟ إيه اللي هيعود عليا؟ أول حاجة طبعاً ده as I said it's a university level course, so it's very rigorous, it's very hard. It does open the door for great job opportunities. لو انت عندك طموح ان انت not just be a regular literature teacher، لا انا عندي طموح اكبر ان انا to pursue career at very famous accredited international schools، يبقى of course this is a good thing to consider. مش بس جوه مصر by the way، بره مصر كمان، يمكن بره مصر اكتر. يعني انت لو السي في بتاعك مكتوب فيه انت AP teacher، ده يعني كفيل بان هو to get you a very good job at the most prestigious and well-known schools. زي ما قلت يعني عشان تبقى AP teacher فأنت محتاج to invest a lot في معرفتك بقى. أنت بتاخد كورسز زي الكورس اللي احنا بنتكلم فيه دلوقتي، بتقرا كتير طبعا، بتحضر professional development على قد ما بتقدر، فبالتبعية بتبقى very competent very highly qualified. وطبعا ده بيأثر على السالري بتاعك. يعني انت you get paid AP teachers معروفة يعني they get paid almost double the regular teachers.
مظبوط.
لأن هم بيعاملوا معاملة university lecturers مش بس regular teachers at school. as I said it's a quantum leap, it's a jump in your career. You eventually become a university lecturer as well as a school teacher.
Amen.
Okay. Regarding the course details, so basically we're gonna have it twice a week on Saturdays and Tuesdays from 9 to 11 p.m. Cairo time. As I said earlier, Saturdays will be dedicated mainly for the trainer's input, and Tuesdays are gonna be the participants' reflections or assessments, unless told otherwise, depending, of course, on our plan together. Registration deadline is going to be Thursday, August 12th. And now I'll pass it on to Mr. Saaduni to talk more about the course fees and how you can pay and all those kind of details.
تمام. هو بس في questions. Thank you, Mrs. Asma. في question هنا, how long will the course take? Is it 2 months, 3, 4?
So it's 32 hours. I think that's going to be almost 2 months, yeah.
Almost 2 months. Okay, so this answered the question. And now the course fees. The course fees is for people who pay in Egypt, you will pay 1,500 Egyptian pounds. 1,500 للناس اللي بتدفع من مصر, and 400 riyals if you are in Saudi Arabia, because we have candidates from Saudi Arabia and they are not here because of their work commitment. Inshallah, you can watch the orientation later. Okay, so that's it. If you have any question, guys, please.
So you were asking Ms. Fatma if this course is only beneficial for teachers who are planning to teach middle school students or high school students or university students, and my answer is no. That's the misconception, you know, like I need to take a literature class just for me to pursue a career in high school or university. But as I was just saying, my daughter is in the American International School of Jeddah, and that's an international school. She's only in grade 3, and she does take most of the literary terms and stylistic devices that I teach in high school. The only difference is that I teach it maybe in a broader sense. So the basics are there. Those, I want to say, literary terms or this literature knowledge, this literature understanding has to be there since elementary. So even if you are planning to teach elementary, or if you're a mom of elementary kids that you're planning to help, that's still going to be very beneficial.
أنا عايز أضيف إضافة بس بالعربي ممكن. في بداية الشغل كنت بشتغل في مدرسة اسمها منارة الفاروق الإسلامية في التجمع الخامس, وهي مدرسة سيمي انترناشونال سكول, فهم بيدرسوا literature من أول grade 6 7 8 9 10, وهي مش international school. فكان الموضوع يعني مهم جدا ان انا اعرف يعني ايه literature, يعني ايه. هم طبعا بيدوا تريننج, بس التريننج مش زي لما ناخد كورس من حد اشتغل الموضوع ده لفتره كبيره, بحيث ابقى انا فاهم انا داخل على ايه. وطبعا هو ده كان يمكن اصعب حاجه كنت بقابلها في التدريس، لان انا مش عارف ازاي ادرس بوتري لجريد 7. بعض الاسماء Great Expectations انا درستها في للستودنتس في جريد 10 11 هناك. Pygmalion حاجات. طب الكلام ده ازاي يتدرس؟ الكورس ان شاء الله يجاوب على الاسئله دي كلها. فحتى لو مش ناويه تدرسي لهاي سكول او مش ناويه تدرسي في انترناشونال سكول كبيره، الكورس هيظل زي ما بيقولوا كده يعني
It's a good investment يعني.
بالظبط. هي الفكره كمان ان احيان كتير لما بلاقي مثلا حاجه في الرايتنج او حاجه مثلا as story مثلا different kinds of stories او different kinds of genres، بيبقى عايز الثيم، الكاركترز، البلوت. وبعض الاوقات لما مثلا في ستوري عايز conclusion او عايز يقول لي مثلا characters main character عمل ايه، بحس ان ده a bit like مش هنقول يعني pure literature، بس كأنها مدخل او كأنها يعني حاجه زي الارهاصات او الورم ابس كده. ف at the end of the day الحاجات اللي احنا اخدناها to be a teacher يعني ما كانش فيها included الحاجات دي and how to teach them. فمش عايزه اللي هو I feel like what am I going to do here. ف if this could help me that would be great.
Absolutely. ما احنا الفكره بتاعت لما مستر محمد تواصل معايا كانت الفكره فعلا to fill in the gaps. يعني كل الناس السلتة، كل الناس تيسل، كل الناس مش عارف تافل وات ايفر، بس هل في فعلا الجزء بقى اللي هو فعلا في ندره شديده وناس كتير بيبقى ده التخوف بتاع لا انا مش هقدر الجزء ده، لانه مش هقدر انا ادخل في مدرسه اي بي، لان الاي بي لا بيركزوا جدا على تدريس الليترشر، وانا الجزء ده عندي يعني ممكن ما يكونش افضل حاجه. لا انت دلوقتي يعني you are well prepared teacher. انت مش مفيش حاجه هتقف قدامك، جالي هنا اوكي، جالي هنا اوكي، انا عارف جرامر هدرس، reading هدرس، vocab هدرس، SAT هدرس، literature هدرس. فكره انه there is nothing that can really hinder my performance in my career path. دي كانت حاجه مهمه جدا، ودي كانت من اكتر الاوبجكتيفز اللي خلتنا نفكر why should we offer such a course.
بالظبط. يعني بالمناسبه الكلام عن الموضوع ده تقريبا يعني صادف كان Oxford Discover Books من أكتر الحاجات اللي لقيت فيها إن هم بادئين يمكن من from book 1 يتكلموا ولو بشكل مبسط عن البويتري وعن أصناف كتير في الكتابات. والتيتشر وطبعا الطفل they have to go back through إن أنت بتتكلمي في جنرا وبتتكلمي البويت هنا بيعمل إيه. stop here لا it's not a normal English course أو general English course. أنت بدأتي تخشي في steps يعني deeper into literature. I needed like a torch or something to lighten up the way. Thank you very much for your lecture today. Of course, thank you very much for Mr. Saloni. It was a pleasure to have you all today. I hope إن شاء الله نشوفكم في الكورس. Please confirm or double confirm that my test is already delivered عشان أنا مش متأكدة إذا كان الإنترنت عملها ساعة ما بعت ولا لأ.
Okay. We can, I think, get back to you on Telegram. You are with us on the group, right?
Yes, both of the groups are writing والteaching وتقريبا كمان حاجة ثالثة للwriting.
Okay.
ربنا يجزيكم خير ويكرمكم بجد. Thank you very much والله.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Our pleasure really, and thank you for your time. Thank you for making it today. We hope to see you soon.
إن شاء الله بإذن الله. Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming today. And if you have any question, you can go ahead and ask it. Type it in the chat. Some people like to type better than speaking, so you can go ahead and do it. If not, enjoy your night.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah. Yeah.
I would like to ask. I forgot many things about literature. So can I join this course to remind myself to these things or encourage myself to read more?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, is that okay?
Sure, it is okay.
So my understanding, Sarah, is that the first two sessions will be a kind of preview, going over terms and things that we need to understand teaching literature. Then from there you will take over and you'll be teaching. Is that right, Mrs.
Okay.
Asma?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Sadwini and Ms. Ismail. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Sarah.
you,
so
Sarah.
much.
Thank you.
Perry, do you have any question? So if you're willing, you can unmute yourself. If you don't have any question, then you guys enjoy your evening. I know it's a bit late in Egypt now. It's almost 11, right? And in Saudi, it's 12. So see you guys, inshallah, in the course. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Perry. Enjoy your night. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.